Hey everybody, it's JMan105 and this is the first in a series of hobby related videos I'm going to be making. They will chronicle builds that I have done or I am in the process of doing, and I will also show you the materials I used and take you through how I did it. That way you can duplicate things like these for your own purposes. So let's get started. This is my latest creation. I just finished working on it about an hour ago. This is an obstacle for my 1/24th scale crawler, in this case an axial SCX-24 Ford Bronco with many customs. I've already created a lighted tunnel, which I'll touch base on in another video, but I wanted to create something here that I can use in my apartment. I wanted a small landform that I can run over, because I'm in the process of creating a very small course that I can use during the winter, which is right now. So, this wasn't that hard of a project. Before I get into the complete details, I'll start with the base. This is a piece of painted plywood that I had lying around. It's about, I would say, maybe 18 inches by 20 inches that I had sitting here that was already painted black. It was a failed project from a few years back. That served as my base. Underneath the main landform, how this got built up, I started with cardboard boxes from cake mixes and kitchen type things. I do a lot of baking, and sometimes I save the cake mix boxes and little cracker boxes, and they make a great base for a landform. So I started with that. I initially glued them down with a couple pieces of tape, as well as no more nails, or liquid nails in this case. It's a great construction adhesive. It dries within 25-30 minutes and it takes the next day to cure, which is awesome. Once I had my cardboard boxes down, I figured out I wanted to have just a simple track going through like a rocky hillside. So to make the rocky effects that you see here, I bought a can of Great Stuff, which is a gap and crack filler, also known as expansion foam. This is the first time I had worked with this. I have friends of mine that have used it. They had mentioned to test it first, so I tested it out on a piece of paper on the floor just to see how much it expands. It expands up to about an inch. It took me several layers to get to this rocky type thing that I did here, but I was very pleased with it. You want to let it dry to the next day before you start doing anything in it. It is pretty much tack-free in about 15-20 minutes, but that being said, is you don't want to touch it right away. You want to let it sit for a while. Once that was done, I started putting plaster wrap as my main trail that goes over top of the landform. Now, I did use a piece of green fake grass from my railroad on the top box as a filler, because I only had this much plaster wrap left and I didn't feel like making a trip out there all the way to the south end of town for another roll. So I managed to make everything stretch out and cover most of it. Once the plaster wrap was done, I started painting. I used a green artistry paint to do the base. I didn't have much else. I had to pick up an extra tube. The brown that you see on the mud tracks are espresso, which is another artistry paint, and the light gray that you see on the rocks that I just did this morning, that is gray. And by the way, the green's called olive green. To do the gray base coat on the rocks, I used an actual latex acrylic house paint that I picked up on clearance at a hardware store for $3.50. It was a custom color that someone had tossed, mainly gray. It showed up nicely on the expansion foam. Once that was done, I had chunks of limestone left over. I do have limestone in the area, so I grabbed I would say a bag of them back last summer for other projects. So I finished it off with the limestone. I had a length of doweling, of wooden dowel that I wasn't using, so I cut it into sections, painted it brown, and let it sit for a day, and then glued that with the liquid nails as well as some weld bond just to keep it down, as you can see here. And in case anyone's wondering, this is a reinforced paper towel cardboard tube that I painted silver to simulate a sewer pipe. And the paint that I had for that, I'll have to grab that quickly and show you. I used Modern Masters ME150 Silver. I did have that in my inventory. If anyone wants to know, I used to be in the paint industry for about 18 years, so I still have odds and ends that I can dip into. But as you can see, it turned out really well. I haven't tested it yet because some of the gray is still drying, but not too shabby. This is a very easy project that anybody can do. You just need to have some patience and the right materials. Artistry paints cost about $2 at an art store. Try to get some clearance pints. You'll save a lot of money and have a top quality paint to use. Artistry brushes, foam brushes, go to the dollar store. They sell them in big packages. Great stuff. That's going to run you about $13-14 at a building center. I still have 3/4 of a can, so it's totally worth it. But that is the result. I'm very happy with this project. It's still drying. I'm probably going to test it this weekend as well. If you have any questions, put them down in the comments and I will try to answer them for you. Also, I will post a link. Join the Hobby Lounge. We talk all about this stuff. Have a great day, everybody.